Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, episode 136. I am Mike Blaine. That is Blaine Birch. We are Mike and Blaine. Welcome to the podcast. This is the only one where you're going to get business, beer, and BS all in the same hour. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Let's see if we get some business in, because the other day when we did it was like basically all BS. So, but I think we're ready today. We're ready to go.
I've got to tell you, I know that was probably almost all BS. That happens to be one of my favorite episodes.
It was kind of funny. It was fun. It was a fun time. Yeah.
Now,
well, we got a good
Pat,
topic today.
Yeah. But neighbor Pat called you out. He's like going, I don't think he knew what you were doing.
I picked it up a little late because I was kind of like, oh, I wonder if he's doing that and we're just going to do BS, or if I make it worse because I'm going down the wrong path and I don't. So we should have planned beforehand. We didn't even plan that part.
We did.
I was off.
We did plan it. Remember, we said for April Fools, we were going to do an all BS podcast.
I know, but it was April 2nd, and I thought you were kind of joking about that. So that was I didn't pick up on it. But anyway, it was a fun episode. It was and with surprisingly little business, but it should have been none if I had picked up on that. But anyway, ready today. We got a good topic today. So
you're loaded, all right. You're loaded, all right. So I tell you what, if you haven't heard us, if you haven't seen us, we do have beer sponsors, right? So we've got some beer sponsors we're going to talk about. And if you want to be one, all you got to do is go to mikeandblaine.com and check out the button that says buy us a beer. That's really you sponsoring the show. It's $5 a beer. That means you got $5 as an advertisement that's evergreen for your business that we talk about you right at the beginning of the show. So go buy us a beer. You can also buy some merch or anything like that. And of course, every single episode, all 136 of them are right there on mikeandblaine.com. Go check them out, or Apple or Google or Spotify or wherever you get them.
YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube too. So we're everywhere. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go there, subscribe, and like and follow and everything else so you don't miss any episodes.
All right. So when you go there, you're going to see, oh, they don't have many subscribers. Dude, we got like 100% more subscribers or whatever. And since you started doing shorts, we didn't focus on it, right? We didn't put any effort into YouTube at all. We only just did this. We put the recording up there. We had like 7 subscribers. Now we got almost 100.
I don't even know. I haven't looked, but we got way more. We got way more subscribers, and we're getting shorts are like I think it's something like 15,000 views a month right now, and growing on our shorts, which is hilarious. It's awesome.
Now, I was just talking about like with YouTube. We haven't done anything with YouTube. Now people all of a sudden are starting to subscribe. We don't know why. I'm going to assume it's your shorts. But we've been having a few thousand downloads per episode. And thousands of views on these shorts. Now all the other subscribership is growing, and it's cool to watch. Yeah,
we're getting subscribers, and we're on so many different platforms, and we're getting subscribers and followers on all of them, which is super cool. So that's adding up. It's great to see. And talking about beer, I got to dive into this beer because this is the last beer I have from Baltimore Mike in my fridge. Mike, if you're listening, I've been saving this one, and it is awesome. It is the Southern Tier Nitro Creme Brûlée Imperial Milk Stout, and it is delicious. So here we're talking, and I take a sip, and I'm like, oh shit, this is really good. It is an excellent beer. So I'm like, I was distracted by it because like this is a really good beer.
I'm gonna tell you what, he actually gave me one of those. I didn't do it on this show because I think I've had it before sometime. A matter of fact, neighbor Breger drank mine. So you cannot play cornhole with these guys because they'll get in your beer fridge.
Yeah, no, you got to keep that beer separate. You got to hide it. That's I've had that happen before. It's just disturbing.
But I'm also having a Baltimore Mike beer. I call him Baltimore Mike because his name is Mike Blaine. I don't want you guys getting confused. Well, are you drinking your own beer? Are you drinking somebody else's beer? But I think you've had it. I've had it. The Flying Dog. I think you put it on here. Did you have the bourbon barrel aged Gonzo?
No, I think it was an IPA from there, but now I want to try that one. That looks awesome. I love these bourbon barrel aged stouts.
Oh yeah,
That looks great.
So yeah, this is the porter style, but yeah, still it's the bourbon barrel aged Gonzo. I'm super excited for it. Super excited for it. So speaking of our beer sponsors, I mean, let me talk about Rachel Barnett, right? Rachel Barnett over at Gentle Frog. She is the QuickBooks expert. If you are struggling to understand what you're doing with QuickBooks and you want some help, you want to be able to understand it, you want to be able to do it yourself, contact Rachel over at Gentle Frog and make sure you ask for her and she will get you set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have Larry Weinstein is back till late summer. Thank you so much, Larry. So if you're looking for a CPA, you're in Houston, you gotta track down Larry Weinstein. You can find him online, LinkedIn. You can track him down, and he's there to help you out. And of course, we've been talking about Baltimore Mike. Thanks again, Mike. This is a great one. My fridge is getting pretty sparse, but we're getting down low on episodes here before I head north. So it's pretty good timing.
Right on. So today's interesting because we're going to talk about trading, right? Bartering, trade, those type of things, because it's kind of an unspoken thing that happens in business. I mean, I think we all kind of do it. There's points and times when you absolutely have to do it because you don't have any money. You almost want to trade yours for somebody else's. But it was a statement. This is weird, right? Because somebody else made a weird statement to me today. I'm like going, oh, that would make a great podcast. But it wasn't about business when they made the statement, and I connected it to business. The statement that was made was this: they are trading the moment for the future. And what they were talking about is they were taking short-term gains and trading away the future, meaning the long-term would be suffering, right? And they were talking about their health, right? And specifically, we're talking about smoking cigarettes. They're saying, yeah, when people smoke cigarettes are taking short-term gain over the future. That's what they're doing. But I'm going, wait a second. Now trading is a good thing to talk about in small business. Mm-hmm. And you could even extrapolate that. Some of the decisions you make today in your small business, you're trading away options in the future, right? Where, I mean, so what do you think? I mean, when I mentioned that, because we didn't talk about this beforehand, and those of you that don't know, I make up the topic like minutes before the show, based on what somebody told me that day, apparently.
That's why it's always topical, and one of us is in the know, the other one's figuring it out.
Yeah, I have exactly 10 minutes more than he does.
Yeah. There's times, like, cause I always talk about my last, like I always talk a little bit about my last business, creative agency I had for over a decade. And the challenges we had in 2008, 2009 with the recession. And that's eventually what led to this idea for Dry Run. We're back to that kind of struggle right now. The businesses, and man, I swear we are hearing about more struggles with businesses today than we did right in the middle of COVID. And it's because it's dragged out and things haven't bounced back. The economy may have bounced back, but there's all this debt load. There's all sorts of issues that businesses are still struggling mightily. But what's interesting is I'm pretty sure that we did a lot more of that trading and negotiation and partnering and all that stuff in that 2008, 2009 into 10, when things were challenging and when they're slow, because now you got a bunch of businesses are like struggling a bit. And that's just like now, it's a great opportunity maybe to say, how can we work together with some other businesses and lift everybody's water level up a little bit, because margins are tight and it's just a difficult time out there.
Yeah. What's funny? Like in the bar business in St. Louis, it would get like that where maybe I under ordered, maybe I didn't have it. Something happened. Somebody brought in a wedding party we weren't expecting. One of the things I could always count on was an unwritten agreement between all the bar owners in a specific area. Was I could call them and say, hey, can I get a case of beer? Can I get a keg? Can I get whatever? And instead of running to the store or anything like that, we would just trade, right? And just make sure that when they asked, you were, if you could give it, you gave it, right? It was one of those things. So I think that's one of those community things. It takes a tribe, where you're helping everybody out. But it's one of those things where I like the fact that it really creates strong relationships when you do that. When I trade this for that. Now, sometimes trade is just dollars. I like that too. I give you the service, you give me dollars. That's what we traded.
Not quite as interesting that way, but it's for a business is like, that's ideal. But when you say trade, of course, that's what I'm picturing as, are you trading?
Barter.
Yeah, you're bartering. You're trading some services for services for goods for services. And I don't know what the tax implications are on these things. We're not going to go into those things, but what we are going to talk about is the advantages that a business can see when they work together. And sometimes it can be with, like you said, with the other bars in the neighborhood, like it can be with your competitors. And I'll maintain that friendly competitors can do more together than just trying to fight it out with each other.
Yeah, we would do that all the time, though. We would hold like, hey, next weekend special, let's do this. You do that. Maybe that's where a lot of these pub crawls and stuff like that came from as well, right? Is that I wanted to be part of that group where I was on the pub crawl, or the bar crawl, where they would come by mine. Well, if you weren't well liked or well known, or they wouldn't put you on that. Right? The people that were doing it. The other thing was, have you ever heard of a poker run?
No.
All right, so it's used a lot of times in Missouri is where I've only seen it. I haven't seen it anywhere else. Maybe Illinois. I've seen it in Illinois, so it must be a Midwest thing, right? So a poker run is generally folks that are on motorcycles, and it's just a day of riding motorcycles, but they'll go from bar to bar to bar, but specific bars in a specific order, right? And when you go there and you're part of this poker run, like they give you some type of medallion or T-shirt or something like that. So when you go into the bar, they give you a card, like a playing card. All right. So think about that. So I go to 5 or 7 bars or wherever it is. And at the end of the day, you have a poker hand, right? So you pay, right? You pay to get into the poker run. And then that becomes part of the pot of winnings. Plus there's a charitable donation. So out of the total pot, they collect money for charity. But at the end, somebody wins the poker hand.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's really fun, right? So you go to 5, 6 different or 7 different places, you collect your cards, and then you show up at the end of the day at the place that's sponsoring it, right?
Yep.
And then the winner and the big party happens at that place. So it's a really fun thing.
Oh, that's really clever.
But you have to have the cooperation, which means trading with the other companies. Yeah.
The place the area, I guess, that comes to mind with something that reminds me of that is in Edmonton, we now have 2 brewery districts, kind of one on the south side of the river, one on the north side of the river. The one on the south side was a little bit more organized, a little bit quicker. And there's, 7 or 8 breweries likely within a mile and a half, 2 miles max. Actually, probably not even that far, to be honest. We're on bikes, so it seems close, but not very far. And a lot of times, so they've actually named and branded this brewery district Happy Beer Street. And they all have like a Happy Beer Street kind of flag out front. And they have events that cross over the different, so they sometimes love everyone has like food trucks, and they'll have some night where they got stuff going on, and it's just encourages people to go from brewery to brewery. And when they have an event like that, it seems to draw a giant crowd in, and then this crowd just moves back and forth. And within a year or two, the north side breweries did the same. And it just was recent, and I can't for the life of me remember what they called it, but they had kind of a moniker as well for their area, and they were using it kind of same thing as that inspiration. And what's also interesting is some of them are starting to open up their second and third locations, and they're opening it up in the other area, and so it's starting to grow. And these sort of friendly competitors, more so than that, I've been in breweries and I've seen them working together and going to each other's breweries. In fact, I was in a brewery when I was in Houston a few weeks ago, and we were having a drink in the brewery, and I could hear the guys sort of talking, and they were helping out another brewery. Like they were doing something to help out another brewery. And I can't remember what it was. I think it was a piece of equipment or something. And, you see that and you go, you know what? It works when they actually cluster together, when they're close to each other, and then they work together. It actually is like a massive strategic advantage.
Yeah, it's called the cluster theory. Remember, I think I've talked about it. Like it's like when you see a Home Depot, usually there's a Lowe's within a couple miles. When you see a McDonald's, there's usually other, fast food restaurants. The bar districts are the same. I mean, like in Kansas City, they got an area that's called the Power and Light District, and in St. Louis, it's called Ballpark Village. Right? It's just a place where all these bars are kind of in one area, and people go to that area for a specific activity. In this case, bars, restaurants. Most towns have one street where they buy a car from, right? They're all the dealerships that line up. Yeah. So it's super cool that they would do that.
And it's interesting to take it to the next level where they really work together, right? Like they've literally branded, like, I guess like 6th Street in Austin's kind of like, it's all bars and everyone knows 6th Street, but I don't think it's necessarily them working together at all to do that. I never got that sense. Or is it?
Dude, I got that. Yeah, we've got a friend that owns one of the bars right down on 6th Street, and he's part of a group. He's part of a group that owns 4 or 5 of the bars, in that area. So there's like little groups. And I'll tell you what, one of the greatest nights you'd ever have is hang out with this guy, right? Because he just walks into any bar and he's like known at every single bar up and down the street. And I don't think he's ever had a tab that I saw, and I've never had a tab. so I just assume that that's a barter. I come to your place, right? I come to your place. I don't have a tab. You come to my place. You don't have a tab.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the barter agreement. I'm sure. Yeah.
And that's those communities are so much more powerful together. And it's interesting because there's sectors and segments that I think are naturally so competitive with each other that I think they hurt themselves. They would never trade with each other. They would never, and I think they're missing out on opportunities, right?
No. In that case, you want everybody to band together because you want it to be safe. You want it to be fun. You want it to be, lively. If it's competitive and divisive, nobody's going to have fun. Nobody's going to want to be there. Mm-hmm. So what I like about those areas is they tend to buy. Matter of fact, here's a story. A few years ago, Austin had a massive homeless problem. Matter of fact, in these bars, people were sleeping inside the little doorways, right? That just off the sidewalk.
Saw them last year.
Camping out. Yeah. So you see, it's actually 1,000% better than it was a few years ago, right? Because they've all banded together saying, hey, this is bad for business. This is bad for everybody that, folks can't come down here and feel safe. Folks can't come down here and feel comfortable just walking up and down the street, which is bad for business, which is, if it's bad for business, it's going to be bad for the government, right? It's like a double-edged sword because you're not getting your tax dollars, your sales tax dollars and those type of things. Mm-hmm. And you're still paying for the homeless, what do they call that when they pay money for those type of programs?
Social programs or
social programs. So you got money going out, but no money coming in. It's bad for everybody.
Yeah. And it's not like this is the ideal and safe place for people that are homeless either. So that's the other side of it is it's like not, it's not ideal for anybody or everybody, right?
Yeah, but I think they've done a better job at managing it than they had it in the beginning, right? Because even though this seems like a slow developing problem, it blossomed real fast.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that, oh, there's always been homeless, there's always been this. But yeah, there was a point in time, you know, even pre-COVID, but post-COVID, it just really blew up.
Yeah, and it seems to have been a problem in every major city I think I've ever been, and like Canada, US, everywhere. Just over the last few years, it's been like multiples of the problem it was before, and that's and it's and I know we're talking like this show isn't about the social issue side. This show is about the business owner side, independent small businesses, and they've already been struggling. They've taken so many hits through COVID and through inflation and through supply chain issues and through, like, it's just, the list goes on and on and on. This massive debt load that's been growing, and it just keeps piling on more and more. So that's of course where we come in to figure out how can they help each other, right?
Well, and that's what creates the environment for a successful barter system.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get in these positions, you're like, oh man, hey, if I trade you this, can I save a little cash?
Yeah.
Can I conserve a little cash? Because in every situation, especially what we're talking about, is there's somebody that gets hurt on both sides. It's the homeless, or it's the business owner, it's the homeowner. There's always somebody that gets hurt in every situation. It seems like so. But this situation with the governmental, I won't say governmental, but the way things have evolved has created a situation where I think there are some types of barter systems that are beneficial to the whole community.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So, I mean, even if you took some of the money from the government and traded it to the business owners to provide services to people that needed it, like food, like shelter, like those type of things.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not money. Maybe it's, you don't got to pay sales tax this year. Maybe there's something they could trade. The government's not not beyond trading. There's something you could trade to be able to be beneficial to both parties.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of hope the government will ever come up with that.
Come on, trust me. We're from the government. We're here to help.
Oh boy, that was probably the funniest thing that's been on this show for a few weeks now.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, all right. So back to bartering. What's something that you've traded that really helped you? I'm gonna start there, and then after like the mid break, we'll go what's hurt you, right? Because you've probably been on the other side of a trade where you're like, oh man, I got kind of screwed in that one.
Yeah, I may have to think on that one, but the one that comes to mind on where it benefited us was, it was probably 2007 and 2008. We were growing quite fast. We had an opportunity to lease a much larger space, and projections made it look like, that made a lot of sense. So we leased a much larger space, and so we had this enormous space, and then suddenly these recession chatter keeps coming up. Well, it's not going to hurt us. Well, it's not going to hit us. Well, it's not. Of course, it especially because we were doing mostly government work at the time, and when those budgets slam shut, they slam shut for years. So we had to basically transition to from a majority government to a majority, almost all corporate after that. Keep our doors open, but again, we had just had this big space. And it's like, we're just going to try and hang on to our staff. There's no freaking way we're hiring. So, at that time, I'm like, I had an office with windows all the way along, and it was probably 1,000 square feet. And it was like, we had just room. We had like a room for a couple of ping pong tables. Like, it was just ridiculous how much room we had there. And of course, our costs had gone up. And so I managed to talk with the building management, and they needed some marketing materials. And we basically came up with, we'll do the marketing materials for a lower cost. And then it would basically be a trade deal to help them so that they could keep their costs a bit lower because they were tight too, because nobody wanted to rent. And then we could also go like, okay, we can offset some of our rent here and so we just had this little trade going on to help keep us afloat while we were transitioning our market and getting our sales engine going again. And it was, it's not like if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have died or anything, but it lessened the load a lot. Like it was helpful to be able to do that.
Yeah, early on at Finnegraph, we had a similar situation with space. It's like going, oh my God, we have so much space for activities. We had drone races. We had, we built a mini golf course. Craziness. In one of the spaces I actually liked, I'm like, we can actually create a classroom and actually generate revenue off a classroom, from it. But it was too much space. So we probably got it made, I think it was that time when space was cheap. Mm-hmm. And then there was nothing to do with it though. It was like, we weren't there. We just weren't there. Yeah. Now for me, like I never felt that software was a good trade. I never felt like by giving you access to my software, whatever you gave me in return probably wasn't the same level of value. What do you think of that? Like if you give somebody, say, I'll give you access to the software, would it be worth a $15,000 creative contract?
Yeah.
Retail to retail. And we've done that very rarely. And I would say a couple of times it was okay. Like it sort of worked out, but there were times where, and it honestly wasn't me giving it away, to be completely honest. And in it was like almost infuriating because it was like, yeah, we're actually getting kind of a kick in the teeth over this one. And I'm not going into details on that, but it was, and it's not like big dollars or anything, but it's more of, it's like a poke in the eye, it's like, no, that was just a waste of time, waste of resources, and just a dumb idea. And it's, it just irks you. Right. Yeah. Or, there's probably some times where you felt like, wow, that was really worth it. And there's probably other times where you're like going, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Right now I've got a really worth it one, right? Where I actually have given an annual membership away as a gift as part of a live training seminar, right? So you do this and I'll give you this to give away. Yep. And it helps them because now I've bartered with them because they can help, not only sell the event, but in their case, they were trying to sell their own memberships to their own organization. And then I think it helped both of us. And it was the only time I thought, well, there's something that I could give that they can take. And then in return, I get to talk to more people. Yeah. It was like, because there's no cash exchange. It was just like going, I'll give you this, you give me that. And we're going to trade services for access.
Yeah. And like, I've done those sorts of things. And I don't know if I've ever sort of considered it a trade, but you sort of do. It's like, hey, I get access to talk with a bunch of people in your organization, and in trade, I'll be your resident expert that sits up on stage and talks and offers opinion and whatever. But there's something to that, I guess.
All right. So if you haven't considered it a trade, what is it?
I said considered it a trade. I don't know.
You said you hadn't considered a trade. I'm not going, I don't know. I traded my time for their list, or access to the people.
It's true. I just I don't think I'd really necessarily thought of it that way. So that's all it was. But it's true that I know you and I have done that before. You probably, especially now, way more than me, but have been speakers at things generally with about as much prep as we've done here. It's like, okay, I'll have an opinion. I'll sit up on stage here and come up with something quick, which is never, we're old pros at doing that. But those to me have always, those always felt generally worthwhile to me, just because I'm like, hey, I'm helping somebody out. I kind of enjoy it. And I think I get a little side benefit. I get a little press out of it, or a little notoriety or whatever out of it. But I guess I hadn't really considered it as just like a trade, but really that's what it is, right? You're trading your time and expertise, hoping to get your exposure and whatever, right?
Well, it's their platform. They're trading their platform and their marketing because they had to get people to the event, those type of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I think it. Yet you may not consider it, but at its truest form, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, hey, speaking of at its truest form,
nice, good segue there for yourself.
Well, because you weren't doing it, I was like,
no, I was watching the clock and I'm like, I was still thinking we're 5 minutes out, but no, let's just segue into the best coach on the planet right here. Right now.
Yeah. If you want the best coach on the planet, as said in my barter agreement with Blaine Birch, check out my website, cashflowmike.com. I'll tell you what, if you want to learn one thing, if you're the type of person that's out there right now today that looks at financial statements and says, what do I do? Everybody else seems to know what to do with these financial statements. Everybody else seems to know how to look at them and what to do and make decisions from them. If you're that type of person, go to my website right now and get this free resource. Get the 7-minute conversation. It's this book if you're on YouTube. Get this book. Learn how to analyze any company's financial statements in 7 minutes or less. It's only six calculations, but what I like about it is it touches all the bases. It touches the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. It teaches you how to not only look at it, but also make decisions on what you see next. So if you're the type of person that needs help looking at financial statements, go download that free resource today.
Do it. I've read it. I have it on my shelf, and not here, but I have it in Edmonton. And honestly, when I get back, I know I'll see it, and I'll do a little refresher read. And it's not a heavy read. It's which is awesome for that. It's
100 pages.
Yeah, there's not extra stuff. I can get through it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a really good refresher because there's a few in there that I'm always like, oh yeah, forget about that or forgot about that or it's a really great read. And whether you're a business owner or you're advising businesses, it's a great place to just sort of either get started or just a good refresher.
Hey, really appreciate that because hey, it's better than a fiddle hopper.
You've been on fire with that,
dude. I've been catching it.
You have been. I had a good run going where I was the first one to use the term in the episode for several weeks, and now I've just been like, no, I'm behind the 8 ball. You've been on top of it. It's good to see.
All right, so you know what's interesting is that Larry, I guess in his past, he has run across this this name called Clem Cadiddlehopper. And I'm wondering if my grandfather didn't take that up and change it into Fiddlehopper, or if I'm so dumb that I didn't understand he was saying Cadiddlehopper and he was saying, and I thought he was saying Fiddlehopper. That's too weird, yeah. Right? Clem Cadiddlehopper and Fiddlehopper. So,
well, maybe, but they seem kind of connected, but you never know. It could be just two brilliant people in two different places come up with two different words.
Yeah. So anyway, he came over that. He goes, this is what I remember it as. So I'm going, well, you're older. You're probably right.
Thank you for the beer, Larry.
That's right. Yeah. We'll see you in 20 weeks.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So speaking of trading stuff, that's what Larry did, right? He traded on just dollars. I guess he just traded dollars, and that's an actual sale. So we're not considering that a trade.
No, but I do have friends that used to, this was years ago, used to be able to get some beer out of California that was super hard to get hold of that leads to the time. Well, it still is actually Pliny the Elder from Russian River. It's not Pliny the Younger, which is really hard to get. You pretty much have to go there, but they could get hold of these beer periodically, and they would trade it across country to other people in other areas that had also ultra hard to get beers. And so it's kind of cool. It was just a little barter thing.
Is that in Russian River? Is that in California? That's like
Santa Rosa, yeah.
Santa Rosa, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Because I think I went there when I went to the Peanuts Museum there. Charles M. Schultz, Snoopy, and
Oh, not that I know of, but
I wonder
Russian
if it's
River
close.
has they have Santa Rosa, and then they have another one. I can't remember the name. It's right down the road. It's like 10, 15 minutes away or whatever. We've just been to the one in Santa Rosa, but it could be that I don't remember the peanuts thing in Santa Rosa. Maybe it is. It's not a big place. You'd think I'd have seen it or something. But
I'm going to ask Chelsea real quick.
ask Chelsea about the Peanuts Museum. Even if there is a museum there and you find out it's right in Santa Rosa, I will say we probably won't go, but we will go to Russian River, or maybe I think there's some other breweries in town there now, so I think we'll pop in to check a couple out. So
I think I've been down there, and there's several just right on that. Santa Rosa. There it is. Yeah. So and I tell you what, it's actually a really good day. I mean, I think I spent a half a day there. It's actually a fun time because I think right where Russian River is, there's like 2 or 3 breweries right there on that little block, that square or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think I did that. I think I went to the Peanuts in the morning and the breweries in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. We may have to do that because if I can get myself a Joe Cool T-shirt, I might have to do that. What else is house for? So.
I can't remember if it's Charles Schultz's house or not. It might be his house.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
It was really cool, though. Yeah. See, that's part of the BS stuff that nobody would know.
Yeah. Valuable information here.
We were talking about something. I had an idea, and then you said Santa Rosa. I'm like, in the Russian River, and I went a totally different direction. That's weird. All right, so if we're talking about a barter, right? A barter, which is a true just trade. Oh, I know what I was thinking of. I heard a story, and this is a while back, of a town in India where they have all these, some species of monkeys that just run around the tourist areas, and they steal stuff from you. If it's not there, they'll steal your sunglasses off your head. They'll take your cell phone if it's close, whatever that is, they'll steal from it. And they will run up these trees right next to you, right? Wherever this area is, like a touristy type area. And the only way to get the monkey to give you your stuff back is to go buy these mango packets from the street vendor and throw them up to the monkey, right? So you throw this mango packet up to the monkey, they catch it, and then they drop it down. But I guess they can determine value, like a cell phone's worth more than a pair of sunglasses, so they'll wait till you throw 2 or 3 up there before they throw it down. I'm like, how the hell does that work? Right? So this has spawned like a whole community of economy where now little kids go into this area and they will go up to you as the American tourist and go, hey, I can get it down for 1 mango packet or whatever it is, but you got to pay that guy, and he brokers the deal. He goes over to the vendor, gets the mango packet, and then goes up the tree. Huh?
That doesn't sound like trade. That sounds like extortion. Monkey extortion.
I know, but think about it, though. You don't need the little kid. You can do it on your own. If I think it's easier if you use the little kid because he can climb the tree and do the negotiation for you, which is really just hand it to you and he just collects it instead of waiting for the monkey to drop your stuff down. But I guess the legend is that these used to be pickpockets. Somebody in a long, long time ago, and every great story starts off a long, long time ago. But I guess they train these monkeys to be pickpockets. And that's kind of how it evolved over time. I'm going, yeah, but I guess they train themselves now. The monkeys do.
Other,
I mean, they teach each other. That's how you get food, is to do this. You get these things. But then the vendors, what is it about this mango packet that's what they want, as opposed to any other food that's out there? They just want that thing. So it's like it's a weird barter system where I think the only person. So I guess the mango packet guy.
Well, I was just gonna say, who trains the monkeys? It's the mango packet guy. Like, follow the dollars.
But still, isn't it a weird, because you wouldn't know when it first happens to you. You're like, what the hell? So you think you're bartering and trading with the monkey to get your stuff back?
Yeah, when you're actually just buying the mango packet from this guy who trained the monkey to take your sunglasses.
And they run it up. Yeah, they run it up. But how does he know? How does the monkey know that the sunglasses are worth less than the cell phone?
No, that's interesting. Is it the monkey knows, or was the monkey trained?
Well, is somebody signaling then to the monkey? Because they say the monkeys will actually tease your ass and he's going to dump your cell phone in the trash can, or he's going to throw it in the river. He's going to, until you give him enough, like you keep throwing it up there, and finally 3 or 4 packets later, he drops the cell phone
and smashes it on the concrete if you aren't a good catch.
Yeah, I guess so, man. But is that strange? Have you never heard of that? I got to figure out what the. Yeah, it is the strangest. I guess it's extortion or blackmail, or it wouldn't be blackmail, but extortion. I guess extortion.
I don't know. Is that I don't know if that's the correct term or not, but yeah, close enough.
Yeah,
it's not trading and bartering though when they steal your shit.
Well, to the monkey it is. Think about it.
Well, it still isn't, because if the monkey had its own, went and picked its own fruit and then traded it with you, that would be a trade. But it still steals it from you and then tries to trade it back.
Yeah, but the monkey can't get fed. In his mind, he can't get fed unless he does that, and then he has something to trade back to you for the food.
Yeah, it's probably just a lazy way for the monkey.
Well, yeah, he's the unethical monkey.
Yeah, it's a gang. Yeah. It's a gangster.
It's
monkey.
a gang of monkeys, and they say there's hundreds of these things running around this area. Yeah. So it ain't like you're I'm just going to avoid the monkey. No, they said they will even tag team you, and they will one will distract you and the other one will steal the sunglasses off your head. Oh, now, how does somebody train you to do that? I think that's actually something that has evolved from the training. The training was, if you take an item from people, you get fed. Mm-hmm. But then they evolved it into some type of organized crime.
Well, you can see how smart they are. That reminds me of watching killer whales go after in a pod, and they'll go after a seal that's on an ice floe and stuff, and they work together and do all this crazy stuff. And you're like, yeah, it's a good thing they don't like the taste of people, because you wouldn't go near the water. Those things are so smart. But,
yeah. Best trade you ever made?
Oh man, you caught me on that. Best trade I've ever made. I probably told you about the one that I think was a good trade from a business perspective, because I don't think I've done a lot of trading in business. I don't think I've done that much that anything comes to mind. I think there's probably lots of little things that are constantly, that we've done, but nothing that's wow, that had an impact, right?
All right. So almost all my life I had a motorcycle, mini bag, motorcycle, whatever. Mm. And all the way up till 3 years ago. Right. And I don't know what happened. I hit 50 and I just don't enjoy the ride anymore. But I had a lot invested. Matter of fact, that motorcycle I'm emotionally connected to, because when I sold Blazing Star Staffing, the original staffing company, that was my gift to myself. The one thing I did is I'm going to build a motorcycle I like and I want. Right. Nice. I met Mike Blaine because I was building a motorcycle, not in St. Louis. I had it built in Philadelphia from a company I saw in a magazine. I'm like, yeah, I want you to build my bike.
Nice.
Went out to Philadelphia and met Mike Blaine that came over from Baltimore. Hmm. Funny story about that, right? When we met, we just hit it off, he and I. That's how we've been friends now for a decade, right? That night, the first night we had dinner, and we went over to the bar district in Philadelphia, and we would go up to people, and I would go, "Hi, I'm Mike Blaine." Then he would come behind me and go, "Hi, I'm Mike Blaine." So imagine meeting two guys with the same name, and everybody's going, No, that's bullshit. You guys ain't got the same name. Then we show our driver's license, right? Right? So it was a fun night, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So, but anyway, this motorcycle had a huge attachment. I had it since 2008, when was 8 or 9, all the way through a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I wasn't riding as much, and it just became one of those things. I'm maintaining it. A couple of things broke because I'd had it, a decade now, where it's starting to require some maintenance, and I just didn't like it as much. I traded that thing for a golf cart, and we have used this golf cart. I lost a ton of money. It wasn't about money, but we have used this golf cart more than I used that motorcycle in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Every night we fit 4 or 5 people on it. You can fit the dog on it. You can just drive around the neighborhood. There is so much more enjoyment right in my life right now today with that golf cart than with that motorcycle.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
And that's interesting because that's what a lot of times will happen more in trades. You're buying something, you're trading like a dollar figure for it, and you can maybe negotiate and everything. But with trades, I think it has a lot more to do with just the value. It isn't necessarily a dollar figure, it's the value. And oftentimes the person you're trading with, you have to have a relationship with. That's also, I think, another factor. It's like you're not necessarily trading with someone kind of off the street that you don't know. Like usually it seems like you've built a relationship up with them. You get to know them and you understand like, sounds like you kind of need this and I kind of need that. And you're not really using that. And hey, let's, make it work.
Well, hey, one of the big joint ventures I talk about, right? Joint ventures is like a trade of you have this, I have that. It's like your Reese's to my, or your peanut butter, my chocolate.
Yeah.
One of those things. But Volvo and Uber actually have a joint ventureship, right? Where Uber has drivers, Volvo has cars. Together, they form a great partnership in a joint venture. But the trade is, I have cars, you got drivers.
Okay.
Sometimes it's that, right? You can trade what you have to create a whole new product, a whole new offering, a whole new venture.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's, I guess, some of the challenge. Like we talked a little bit about friendly competitors and stuff, and sometimes that'll work, especially when it's a geographic thing. I think that's when it works the best. But I think it's building relationships and talking with people is where you can start to come across those things that you probably would never know about and go, oh shoot, you know what? This could work. We could help you with this and you could help us with that. And, like we used to, I guess they called it a sponsorship, but we used to, the International Fringe Festival in Edmonton, there were several years where we did, all the marketing for them and all that. But, there were a couple of years that it was a bigger event and everything. And there's like pay for services kind of stuff. But there's a couple of years we would just do like the poster and a few things for them. And, but we would do that so that we would get the exposure, that we did the work that we got. And it was in the city that we were in, it was a little bit of, prominence because there's only one place in town, I guess, to do the poster every year. And it's a big event with 1 million people coming to it and all that. So how do you get, so that was one that I thought was kind of an interesting one. We would kind of have some fun and we would get passes to the event, which I give to my wife and her, sisters and friends. Cause I wasn't that interested in going to plays, to be honest. So, but, but it would work out nice. It would work out nice for them because they're a nonprofit running on tight dollars. And for us, it would work out, to get some exposure and some connections in that. So,
What's funny is that exposure is one of the things that a startup should be trading in, right? I do this to get exposure. But there's a point in time when that's not good enough. Exposure is not good enough, right? It's like you change. It's like right now today as Casual Mike, I don't need exposure. Right? I'm not going to trade free stuff for exposure. That's not what is beneficial to me. There's other things that are, but exposure is not one of them. That's a weird one to trade. You can only do it early, I think.
Yeah, and you know, like I do read every once in a while online about these influencers. It's almost some of not now. There's all different people. Some are really great, but there's some that I've read from restaurant owners, especially, where it's been almost extortion. Like it's yeah, you're just going to give me a bunch of free food and I'll promote you, and then if you don't give me free food, I'll slay you. Like that's bullshit. And so you know, there's a lot of kind of shadiness going around that I think is masked as and again, it's like you'll get great exposure, and it's like, yeah, but it's costing me real money, right?
Well, and that's just it. Like some influencers can really make your business, right? I mean, like the Stanley Cup thing, when Stanley rebranded or recrafted their image as in the Stanley Cup, because historically, it's a 100-year-old company. Historically, it was the steel gray thermos that you and your dad always took to work. Right? That's what Stanley was. Mm. All of a sudden, they had some moms like the cup. Right? They just made an insulated cup, the Stanley Cup. Made it. They liked it. Influencers took it on. They made it in different colors. I think they actually bought a whole bunch of unbought ones, like a warehouse full of them, and started just selling them, right? Because they bought them wholesale. And I think that's how the whole thing started. They took a bunch of them and just sold them instantly on like Instagram. I could be told wrong. You guys are going to kill me on the internet, but I think that's what happened. They bought some cups that were made. They were great cups, and they bought them for like 50 cents or, something ridiculously cheap, and sold them for like $40-50. These Stanley Cups. Yes. Now they're in different cups and all that. And who took over this, product was mom influencers. Okay. So that's why they made the different colors. That's why they make the jewelry that comes off of it. That's why they make, all the things about it. But these mom influencers needed something to compete with Hydro Flask, and they picked up on this. Okay. So these influencers get paid on every sale, right? That's why you see that they have these links like, hey, my link's in the bio, or click on the product for whatever for a link to a special price. Well, when they do that, they get paid, right? Because I can track it that your effort, your video actually made the sale.
Yeah.
But it was mom influencers that made Stanley Cup a thing. Is that weird? That's kind of weird.
It's bizarre. I got to go off track a tiny bit here, because what I found recently is it used to be there's a little golden age when you're looking for a product. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a lawnmower. You need a new lawnmower. You go and what do? You look online, you try and find some useful information and try and learn about the product, and hopefully not from just the company that's selling it, because they're, of course, just promoting it, right? Yeah. And but for a lot of things, I only trust Consumer Reports, because everybody else had a link. And so if you bought the product, they were making money off of it. And now Consumer Reports is doing that. And I'm like, I don't even trust you guys anymore, because you're getting a cut from everything. But what I've seen even more recently is, and you can tell by looking at them immediately, if you go search for lawnmower, you're going to see millions of articles with the top 10 lawnmowers. But what is the top 10 lawnmowers according to chat. Yeah. And it's top 10 lawnmowers according to chat that you can only buy from, or maybe not a lawnmower, but you can only buy from Amazon, or you can only buy online so they can get their affiliate link. And so you're going, okay, you expect me to believe that you're going to tell me that it's the best product when all you're trying to do is get 10 affiliate links up there. You don't give a shit how good these are. And so now there's, I think, this massive gaping hole in the industry for honest reviews of products. The one exception I see is when I go to YouTube, and there's people that have built their credibility up there, and they don't really want to risk their credibility. But I think there's a massive gap in the market, because it's what started out as, like a little bit of almost like a trade sort of thing and a recommendation thing. Now you're making a few dollars off of it. has gotten completely overwhelmed and sullied by AI. And now it's become worthless again. And so if you go to buy a product, you don't know who to believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same thing with, I see influencers in our industry do that. They're like going, hey, pay us 15 grand, pay us 20 grand, and we'll promote your product.
Yeah.
But to get what? I mean, I've never had one of those work.
Me neither.
I've actually paid the money at, bigger companies. I haven't paid it at Casual Mike, but bigger companies, I paid the money. It never worked. We never get our money back.
We've never, same thing. We've never, ever, ever seen any of that work. And it just is in one ear and out the other. I'm like, no, get lost. Like there, to me, all of these different sites and everything, it's like, give it to me free for a week and prove it. And if there's an ROI, of course we'll do it. They're never willing to do that because they know it's like all they're doing is selling you on something that is likely not going to do anything for you.
All right. You can probably already tell, but I didn't know this before the end of the podcast. This is 11.3. Like, nice. Oh shit! Why do I feel like that? Why can't I talk? Why can't I get a thought out? Well, damn you!
You've got me because this one's 10%, except that Heather and I, like, because we're leaving next week, didn't have any food in the house and ran up to the golf course, and they got a great little restaurant there now with the Italian pizza oven, and we shared a pizza and had a pint, and then walked out, and I cracked one of these. So it's surprising we made it through here.
I've been busy. I didn't even get lunch today. Damn you, Mike Milan.
Thank you, Mike Milan. This is a beautiful beer, and for both of us. But it's shocking because we've had times before we both had like the 12%ers, and it just goes right off the rails. So maybe we're becoming more seasoned, and we can actually, kind of fight through it.
We can handle our alcohol. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, got some good practice.
Is that a good thing? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
All right. Hey, episode 136. 136, we talked about trade and bartering. I think this is kind of my closing comment. I mean, outside of buy the merch, buy the beer, I think that there are good reasons to actually trade with people that you know to get things done that are beneficial to both parties. I think it's okay.
Oh, I think there's amazing opportunities, especially now for businesses, because it is hard on businesses right now. And how you do it is it's not sitting in your office, it's getting out there, talking with other entrepreneurs, talking with other business owners, and finding those relationships of ones that you can collaborate with in whether they're a friendly competitor or whether just like someone that it's like the food truck and the beer and the brewery, right? Find these opportunities. But I'm convinced you find those opportunities by getting out there, talking with people, meeting with other entrepreneurs. And fortunately, we're able to do that a lot more now than we did for a couple of years there.
All right. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I'm Mike Milan. This is Blaine Birch. We are Mike and Blaine, and this is 136 in the books.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.